Come here. Come on. Good boy. Yeah, have a seat. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about what it's like to have an ESA while you're in college. So much fun. You ready to dive into this, huh, buddy? You ready to dive into this? Yeah. Okay, so the first thing to know about having an ESA while you are in college is that you are legally allowed to have an ESA in any apartment. That is the law. But not every landlord wants to have ESAs in there, so they can put up a stink. They can put up really strict rules, and they can just be difficult to deal with, and they might not even approve you on your application. And so what I did when I moved down here is I contacted every apartment that I was interested in living at, and I told them I had an ESA and I wanted to know what their rules and regulations and paperwork and all that. I wanted to know how it was at each apartment complex. And most of the apartments I reached out to were like, oh yeah, totally fine, not an issue. But there were a few that I reached out to that I really wanted to live at. It was a good location and all this stuff, and I honestly probably would have just moved in if I hadn't thought to reach out beforehand. But I reached out to them, and the lady messaged me back, and she said hey, our landlord is not a fan of ESAs. He's had a really bad experience with people having them, and so if I were you, I wouldn't even apply, because he might not approve your application just because he does not like having them. So just so you are aware that that is a thing. But if you live on campus at any college, they should allow an ESA. They might just have they might have some weird rules and stuff about where you take them potty and all that. But if you live off campus, that's a totally different ballpark with landlords, and I live off campus, so I just am through a leasing company, and they just have my paperwork, and it was really easy to set everything up. So it's different with every apartment, but definitely the biggest thing I would suggest is reach out to your apartment complexes that you're interested in living in and let them know you have an ESA before you even apply, just so you don't have a headache if they put up a stink. Okay, number 2 is communicating with your roommates. So each apartment complex should communicate to your potential roommates that you have an animal. If you have a dog, then they should communicate to your potential roommates that you have a dog in case somebody is allergic to a dog. And I've had this happen where I was supposed to have another roommate move in, and then they never did, and then I found out it was because they were allergic to dogs, and the apartment complex let them know. I've also had roommates reach out to me, and they've been like, hey, I heard you had a dog, I've never lived with a dog, what's your dog like? And so your apartment complex should communicate that to potential roommates. But if for some reason, if you're able to contact them beforehand, some apartment complexes are like that, and they give you your roommates information, then definitely communicate that with everybody that you have an ESA, just so everybody is on the same page and nobody is surprised. Also, make sure that you communicate to your roommates if they offer to help take care of it. I've had roommates who volunteered to take my dog out to go to the bathroom, and then I'm like, okay, he needs to go to the bathroom out at this time, and he goes pee and poop, and it should take 2 seconds because he's really quick. But then I've had nights where I come home and he's had an accident because nobody took him out, even though they said they were going to. So you need to make sure that you communicate clearly to your roommates that, hey, if you offered to do this, then you kind of have to, because then this will happen. So that's where it kind of gets tricky with roommates, because they don't have to help you, but if they offer to help you, and if my dog's not in his kennel, then he's going to go to the bathroom when he needs to. That's just how an animal is. He has to go. And so if they don't come through with what they said they were going to do, then there could be a mess. And so make sure that you communicate that to your roommates and say, hey, if you don't want to take them out to the bathroom, then you need to put them in their kennel so they don't have an accident. I've had this happen a lot. And just where, or I'd come home and I'd be like, hey, did somebody take him out? And they're like, no. And he hadn't gone to the bathroom for 8 hours. And so I rush him out, and he, it turned into a really, I don't know, tense situation of him needing to go right then because nobody had taken him out. And so just make sure that you communicate with your roommates and make it clear so that if they are having an issue with your ESA, that they can come to you and they can let you know. And make sure that you are not being defensive if they come to you and are having a problem, because one, it's not their dog or their cat or whatever animal it is, but I'm talking about dogs because I have a dog. And two, you're not there when sometimes, and they are, and they're having a different experience with the animal than you are. And also, third, like, they might not even have experience living with animals. I've had a lot of roommates who have never lived with an animal, and so that's a totally new thing for them. So you have to communicate, and you have to be open to what they have to say and suggestions they have and concerns they have, because they live in the apartment too, and they need to be comfortable as well. So the third thing is that taking care of an animal is sometimes not an easy thing to do, as I just had explained, that sometimes I've had it where I'm at work for a really long time and I ask my roommates to help me out. Otherwise, my dog is in his kennel and he's in there for a while, and he can hold it when he's in his kennel. He's kennel trained and all that, but it's nice to have them take him out just so he's not in his kennel holding it while I am gone and doing things. But the one thing that I do is that I have a set routine with my dog. So in the morning, I make sure that he goes potty, and then I feed him, and then I give him water, and then he goes potty again. Like I have my whole routine set up. So it's consistent for him. And so he knows that at night, when I come home from work, that I'll take him potty again. And that my roommates might take him potty while I am gone at work. Or, it's just, he has a set routine, so it's comfortable for him, so he knows what is expected of him and all of that. So having a set routine of when you feed and take potty and go on walks is super, super important, just so that your dog can be well adjusted to living in an apartment if your dog hasn't lived in an apartment, and just so your dog continues to enjoy living in the apartment and is not feeling stressed about inconsistency. Okay, so number 4, you are going to be busy. That's the biggest thing that I have had to deal with, is that I am a very busy person and I can't always be with my dog, even though I would love to just be with my dog all the time. But I set aside time every day to be with him. So we go on walks, we play with toys, I take him to the dog park at least a few times a week. I make sure that we have cuddle time and all that. Like, I make sure that I spend quality time with my dog, so he doesn't feel like I'm abandoning him just because I'm busy. And so he knows that, hey, when I'm home, I can, here's attention given to you, and then when I'm gone, you're okay to be by yourself, so that they can be independent. Because when I first moved into my apartment, my dog had never lived in an apartment. He's used to having 2 other dogs to play with all the time, and at least someone home to play with him with my family. And so he wasn't quite used to that. But now he's totally fine. If you get a routine and you stick with it and you spend the quality time with your animal, they will adjust. And yeah, it might be rough for a few weeks, but they will adjust if you are consistent and you stick with it, and you make sure that when you're with your dog, you give quality time to your dog. Okay, those are my 4 things you should know before you get an ESA in college. There's a lot more that goes into it, but those are just the 4 things that I found were really, really important, and I wish that somebody had told me before, and I kind of had to figure out the hard way. So if you have an ESA or anything, make sure you like and comment down below and share your experiences or other tips that I didn't share. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Can you say like, comment, and subscribe? Can you do that? Can you say, I love Rebecca? No, you're gonna sneeze. Like for him. Like solely just for him. Say bye, buddy.